Ever notice how the most powerful people you know are also the quietest? They're not shy. They're not antisocial. They just figured out something you haven't. And after this video, you'll know it too. They always be like, yo, just keep it real. Be transparent. Let people see the real you. But here's the tea they ain't telling you. The more people know about you, the easier it is for them to play you, FR. The world don't reward being real. It exploits it. They take your words and use them as receipts. They store your feelings like ammo. They act like they care, but really? They just taking notes. Machiavelli ain't ever say, be honest with everybody. He said, be smart. Be strategic. Be ruthless when you gotta be. In a world where everybody's oversharing like clowns, the most powerful move you can make is to lock your inner world down like Fort Knox. What you share becomes a tool for someone else. What you hide? That's your secret weapon. These 5 secrets ain't random. They're your psychological armor. Keep 'em buried, or you'll be paying the price real quick. Now, drop this in the comments: what they don't know, they can't control. Secret number 1, never let 'em know how far you'll go. Ayo, check it. People are straight up obsessed with your boundaries. Not 'cause they respect 'em, but because they want to know exactly how close they can get before you snap. The second you define your limits, you just handed 'em the whole blueprint to your control panel. Think about it. You say, I'd never cut nobody off. Next thing you know, they draining your energy, testing your patience, pushing you to the edge, 'cause they know you won't walk away. You say, I'd never retaliate, no matter what. Congratulations. You just made yourself an easy target. Now they acting all arrogant, stepping all over you. Not 'cause they brave, but 'cause you told 'em you won't fight back. That ain't noble. That's exposure. And in a world ruled by strategy, exposure is straight up suicide. Here's the real deal: people don't fear the kind ones. They fear the ones they can't read. They fear the person who smiles but leaves the consequences to imagination. That uncertainty? It messes with their heads. Keeps 'em in check. But the moment you define your breaking point, you hand 'em the exact coordinates to start chipping away at your self-respect. You make their job way too easy. So stop explaining what you would or wouldn't do. Stop with the disclaimers. Let your silence be the warning. Let your unpredictability be the answer. You don't need to threaten nobody. You don't need to spell out what happens if they cross you. That ain't communication. That's emotional weakness dressed up like honesty. Real power? Real power is when they think twice before disrespecting you. Not 'cause you threw a fit before. Not 'cause you made a scene. But 'cause they got zero clue what you're capable of. That's the kind of fear that keeps people cautious. Not terror. Just straight up uncertainty. The kind that keeps their behavior in check. Not 'cause they respect you, but 'cause they scared of making the wrong move. Fear of consequences they can't even see. That hits harder than 1,000 angry speeches. There's a reason Machiavelli said, the lion can't protect himself from traps, and the fox can't defend himself from wolves. You gotta be both, a fox to spot the traps, and a lion to scare off the wolves. You gotta play both sides. You don't gotta look dangerous. Look thoughtful. Look composed. But deep down, there's a predator doing the math. And nobody knows when he'll move. Nobody knows how far he'll go. That's how you dominate without raising your voice. You don't show rage. You control it. You don't announce your moves. You deploy 'em when it matters. Never tell nobody how far you're willing to go. 'Cause honestly, even you don't fully know. And that's what makes you dangerous. Let your calm be the storm they never saw coming. Let your mystery hit harder than any threat. In this world, the ones who talk about their limits, they become victims of M. But the ones who stay silent, they become legends. Secret number 2, never reveal who influences you. Yo, ever notice how people always ask, who inspires you? Sounds like innocent curiosity, right? Wrong. That's a setup. They want to know what shapes your thinking. 'Cause once they know who you look up to, they'll study M, mimic M, or worse, use M to mess with your head. If they know the kind of minds you're plugged into, they'll start feeding you twisted versions of it that work for them. They'll hijack the voice in your head and make it their own. The second you say, this person shaped how I think, you become predictable. Now they're watching your every move, expecting you to act like someone else. And if you step out of line, they hit you with, but your idol would never do that. Suddenly, your whole identity gets chained to somebody else's shadow. That's how influence turns into a cage, if you expose it. But when you keep that door locked, when nobody knows who's whispering in your ear, you become a mystery they can't crack. You move in silence. You grow in directions they never saw coming. You evolve without asking permission. You become something they can't label. And people? They're terrified of what they can't define. Let your influences shape you, but don't let M brand you. You don't owe nobody an explanation for who helped you level up. The names you study, the minds you follow, they're sacred. Hidden blueprints that make you dangerous. The second you give up those names, you hand over the map. And once they see where you're headed, they'll start putting up roadblocks before you even get there. Let your moves speak. Let your wins hint at your influences, but never confirm M. A man who reveals his sources, he's giving away the whole playbook. A man who doesn't, he becomes a force of his own. Machiavelli said, a wise man follows the paths beaten by great men and imitates the ones who came out on top. True. But he never said to broadcast which path you're walking. That's where most people mess up. They confuse influence with identity. And when their idols crash, they crash too. Here's the secret, you can learn from everyone and still belong to an O1. That's real power. Quiet influence. Absorbed in silence. Applied without credit. That way, if anyone questions you, you don't owe them answers. You become the original. You become the source. And here's something most people never learn, once they can name your influences, they can copy your power. But if they can't trace your roots, they can't replicate your tree. They see the fruit. They feel the shade. But they got no clue how deep those roots go. That's the kind of person they fear. Someone whose mind got sharpened in the dark, by voices they'll never hear. Secret number 3, never reveal your daily habits. Yo, your daily habits. They're windows into your head. And the second someone spots a pattern, they start building traps. You think routines are harmless. Proof you're disciplined. Focused. But here's the T, discipline, when it's out in the open, becomes a roadmap. And roadmaps? They're made to be followed, intercepted, or straight up hijacked. The more visible your structure is, the easier you are to manipulate. You post that you run every morning at 6 a.m. Cool. Now they know exactly where you'll be, and when your brain's on autopilot. You always check your phone late at night. Now they gonna hit you when you're tired. Send messages designed to provoke, distract, or mess with your head. That structure you built to get stronger just became a script they can use against you. That ain't efficiency. That's vulnerability wearing a disguise. Get this through your head, predictability is a weakness. Especially in a world where attention is currency and distraction is a weapon. When people know your rhythm, they'll sync up with it, not to support you, but to sabotage you. They'll call when you're most available. They'll argue when you're most tired. They'll show up when your guard is down. Not 'cause they geniuses, but 'cause you handed them the code. There's a reason shadows exist. Movement without a pattern. Activity with no trace. Your habits. Keep them private. Your schedule. Keep it unpredictable. You can stay consistent without being obvious. Wake up early today. Sleep in tomorrow. Train in silence. Respond when they least expect it. Move like static. Always active. Never readable. Let them try to track you, and fail. Let your absence feel like a chess move. Let your silence feel strategic. Real power? It comes from not being found in the same place twice. When people can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. They start guessing. They lose timing. They miscalculate. And every time they mess up, that's an advantage you just gained. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool sticks to his routine out of comfort. The wise man adapts before the routine turns into a cage. 'Cause the second people see your pattern, they stop seeing a person. They see a machine. And machines? They can be hacked. Erase the trail. Break the rhythm. Eat at 6 today. Skip it tomorrow. Show up unannounced. Leave without warning. Make your timing your weapon. Make your inconsistency their frustration. And when they try to figure you out, let them realize they're chasing smoke. 'Cause when nobody can track your daily rhythm, you ain't just strategic anymore. You're dangerous. Unreadable. Untouchable. A force without a pattern. And in the game of power, that's exactly who they fear the most. The one who never moves the same way twice. Secret number 4, never reveal what you've forgiven. Yo, people love to say forgiveness makes you noble. That letting go makes you stronger. Cute. But the world don't run on noble ideals. It runs on pressure, leverage, and perception. And when someone knows what you've forgiven, they just scored all 3. Think about it. The second you make it clear you let something slide, a lie, a betrayal, a public embarrassment, they study that reaction. They file it away. Not to appreciate your mercy, but to figure out how far they can push next time. You didn't call them out. You must be soft. You didn't retaliate. Guess you won't. Forgiveness just became AMO. And it ain't yours. But silence? Silence is lethal. When you don't reveal what you've let go, they're left wondering, did he really forgive me? Or is he just waiting? That doubt? That gnawing uncertainty? It's way more terrifying than straight-up anger. 'Cause you didn't give them closure. You left the wound open. And now every move they make is haunted by what they think you might do next. Forgiveness should stay private. Not 'cause you bitter, but 'cause power don't come from making people comfortable. It comes from making them cautious. You don't owe them emotional clarity. You don't gotta prove you've healed. Healing ain't about exposure, it's about control. And control means never revealing the state of your internal battlefield. Let them think you moved on. Let them laugh, thinking you forgot. Meanwhile, you've adjusted your approach. Shifted your position. Watching from a new angle. The enemy who thinks he's safe? Easiest one to neutralize. Not 'cause he weak, but 'cause he let his guard down. Machiavelli said, injuries should be inflicted all at once, so their sting is felt, but only once. Forgiveness is the mirror image of that injury. But if you expose it too soon, if you talk about it, you soften the memory of what went down. And when offenses lose their sting, they'll happen again. Let the people around you live with that tension. Did he let it go, or is he just biding his time? That's how you become untouchable. You don't react with noise. You don't explain. You just adjust. And when the time's right, you move. Not out of revenge, but precision. Not emotionally, but surgically. Forgive internally. Strategize externally. Never mix the two. 'Cause once they know your threshold for betrayal, they'll start walking right up to the edge. But if you hide that threshold completely, nobody dares get close. Uncertainty is control. Silence is pressure. And a man who forgives without saying a word, he becomes a storm they can't predict. A reckoning they never saw coming. Secret number 5, never reveal what you're still healing from. Yo, pain? It's part of being human. We all carry it. Some from childhood. Some from betrayal. Some from battles nobody else will ever understand. But in a world driven by control, manipulation, and silent warfare, pain ain't just pain. It's intel. And the second you reveal where it lives inside you, you just handed someone the keys to your mind. You say you're still dealing with abandonment issues? Guess who's gonna test your fear of being alone? You open up about trust issues? Someone's gonna promise you loyalty, just to break it later and watch you fall apart. They ain't doing it 'cause they evil. They doing it 'cause human nature is opportunistic. When people sense weakness, they either dodge it, or exploit it. And if they can't feel your wounds, they don't know how to move around you. That confusion? That's what keeps you in power. Never let them trace your pain. Once they know what hurt you, they start watching you like a lab rat. Testing your reactions. Poking at your triggers. Figuring out which words sting and which silences shake you. What used to be your story just became their strategy. Your vulnerability, their script. And you? You become readable. Predictable. Breakable. But when they don't know what damaged you, when they can't see the cracks, they assume there aren't any. That ain't denial. That's defense. You ain't gotta deny your past. You just stop offering it to people who haven't earned it. You don't owe nobody a roadmap to your trauma just 'cause they ask with soft eyes. Not everybody wants to understand. Some just want leverage. Machiavelli said, "He who builds on the people builds on MUD." That includes building your healing on the sympathy or validation of others. You don't need their understanding. You don't need them to know what you survived. You don't need applause for walking through hell. You need one thing. Silence. The kind that protects you while you rebuild. That shields you while you get sharper, stronger, colder. The kind of silence that makes your enemies guess, and fear what they cannot see. 'Cause healing? It's sacred. It's not a performance. It's not a conversation. It's war. Quiet, personal war. And when you come out the other side, you don't announce it. You walk back into the world like you were never even scratched. You move with the confidence of someone who rebuilt themselves in the dark, and came out forged in fire. Let the world meet you when you're whole. Let them wonder what made you this calm, this collected, this unshakable. Never hand them your pain and expect protection. Hide it. Heal in silence. And come back as someone nobody saw coming, 'cause they never saw the cracks to begin with. Fire final word. Yo, look around. The world we live in, it runs on noise. Everybody's talking, posting, confessing, like visibility equals power. But here's what they don't get, the more they reveal, the easier they are to break. Every honest update. Every emotional post. They're handing out the blueprint to their own destruction. And while they out there chasing validation, you chose a different weapon. Silence. You don't speak for attention. You move in the shadows, 'cause that's where real power lives. You ain't unreadable, 'cause you lost. You're unreadable, 'cause you in control. Every unanswered question about you, that's a wall they can't climb. They can't predict you. Can't prepare for you. Can't control what they can't understand. Machiavelli got it. He knew strategy ain't about showing strength. It's about making people guess where it lives. That's who you are now. A ghost in the room. A storm behind calm eyes. They'll see you smile and never know what it means. They'll hear your silence and feel pressure they can't even name. They'll try to figure you out, and fail. That failure? That's your power. So if this video hit different, if it reminded you who you are and what you're capable of, then it's time to move different. Like the shadow. Like the force nobody saw coming. Subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that like button so others can find this too. And most importantly, keep your mouth shut and your mind sharp. From now on, you don't chase influence. You become the force that moves without being seen. The game ain't about being known. It's about being untouchable. And you? You're becoming unstoppable.